Hi everyone, welcome to another one of our What the Future vlogs. I am Shabbar and I work as the software project manager of our smart products that we develop here.
Hi, I'm Kristin. I work on different projects for generating data insights at HRForecast. And here we are today with the both founders of HRForecast. So let's do a quick recap of the last 4 years. So what was the idea behind founding this company? And how did you get the idea actually?
Yeah, well, actually it goes a little bit back into the past. It was 10 years ago where we got in touch with the manager of a big company of Siemens. And he said, from an HR perspective, there are loads of different challenges that they have on a daily basis. And they are more and more difficult and more complex to solve. And since he was an engineer, he said, what can we do with data? And this was the start where we thought about, with a big cooperation with different companies, co-creating new idea in terms of data. And that was, the kickoff where we started.
Yeah, what's a bit interesting maybe about the story is that both of us, we don't have any HR background originally. So we came from controlling, the strategy side of things. Honestly, I never thought I would dig into that direction, but then in the end, starting with this whole data, the whole data project and how to connect it with HR, the whole story got started. And then Florian had an experience. Maybe you want to talk about it quickly?
Well, I was working at a big company, and at that time they laid off 2,000 people. And from the 2,000 people, a lot of them were really smart people. It was just that at the time they didn't have the right skills anymore. And I found it unfair because they were very, very smart people, it just they didn't have the right skills anymore. And the company never reflected to them, you don't have the right skills anymore. And that was the kind of thing where we thought, okay, how can we actually leverage that potential or this lost potential that we can help employees to develop skills for the future. And that was one of the other thoughts that went into that. First of all, data. The other thing is, how can we make a change? And a lot of things are changing now in society, right? Artificial intelligence, automation will cause a lot of disruption in the labor market. So by 2030, about 40% of the jobs won't be the same anymore. So this was the start where we thought, how can we support, what can we do with data there?
Yeah, here we are.
And what did you choose as your first project when you were starting HRForecast? What was the first project that you started off with?
Well, since we were still just finishing up at the university, of course the easiest way to do it, if you don't have any product finished yet, you have to start talking to companies, right? So we decided to talk to big companies with very long-term planning cycles, mid-term planning cycles, and also very short-term planning cycles. And we kind of just asked them as a research project, what are your problems, what are your challenges? And the key results that they played back to us were, our main challenge as HR is that we don't have the right data at hand. We don't have proper tools to handle this data. And our role, being HR, doesn't always give us the opportunity to reflect in the company strategy, because there was a big mismatch between what the business was doing and what HR was doing. So they were kind of working in silos. So our idea then, reflecting these results, was, okay, how can we use data and tools to get rid of this kind of artificial barrier between business and HR and to make them both much better.
Yeah, and the first project that we did there was one of the companies who said, well, we'll give you the data, we also give you the trust, because at that time people analytics wasn't a topic yet. So they gave us that, and it was a major German company who supported us there to develop that idea. And this was the first start where we got the idea of that we need to combine different data sets within the company, and that we need to open different data dimensions in order to get more insights to the questions that they were having.
Mm-hmm. And also talking about challenges, did you face any major challenges in your first year? Do you remember that something was super difficult?
Well, I guess at the beginning everything is a bit difficult, right? You need to get started, get settled, get in your own working mode. Coming from a big organization, working on your own after that is of course a big change. Since we don't have any investors, and we always said we don't want any investors in our company, it was also about having financially the freedom to to decide on what you want to do. So I think the biggest challenge, but then we turned it into an opportunity, was to survive in the beginning, right? So that's why we got so much input from the market, and we started developing from day one on together with our soon-to-be clients on the solution. So we were able to get into these very short planning cycles, and of course it's always a challenge in terms of revenue streams. But then once we've got this challenge covered, the next challenge was to find a lot of people, right? So I mean, you guys are working now for the company, but it's really, really difficult to find the people, especially for a small company in a market like Munich. So luckily, we are also in Bremen because the labor market there is a bit better. So yeah, these are all the challenges I guess everybody has to go through.
But I think it was 2 or 3 times where we had less than 50 euro on our bank account. So that was quite challenging, where we also had to, put some private money again into the company to survive. And yeah, I think coming out of a big company where you're basically driven by emails, meetings, where you have your structure, and then getting to the point that you have to, create your own ideas and get started. That was, I think, also from my perspective, the biggest challenges. And of course, bureaucracy. This is a big topic. You have to do loads of bureaucracy to only get started. And this just hinders you to do what you need to do. It just simply focus on these things. And this was also, for me, one of the biggest mental barriers, because you always had it in the back of your mind, oh no, I need to fill this form, need to register here, try to avoid a fine there.
Yeah, it's still the same. I mean,
Germany.
Bureaucracy never stops. I guess it's in every country, it's kind of similar, I don't know.
So from solving the first year challenges to coming to this point where you have such a dynamic team and the projects are quite valuable, it would probably not always as smooth as it looks today. So what were the biggest challenges, or the fuck ups, so to say, that you had along the way from the first year until now?
Well, we being very cost sensitive from our background without the investors, we maybe sometimes tried a little bit too much to save on things. So it started with outsourcing projects to foreign countries where labor is very cheap, not getting the results that we expected. In the end, working double or even triple the time to fix it, running back and forth in iterations. But there are also small things. This is a quite funny story. When one of our guys in Munich, they wanted to install these audio panels on the wall so that the acoustics would be better. Yeah. And he wanted to buy this really expensive glue. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I mean, what's that, 10, 15 euros? I was like, no, we can just take these tessera strips. And well, then in the end,
they were €7 cheaper. Basically, in the end, posters, they fell down. We had to put them together, buy the more expensive ones and get them onto the wall. I guess that's one thing that we experienced a couple of times, where we try to save, because, based on that necessity, we don't have any money to spare, since we don't have investor money that we can just throw around. And based on that, a few situations arose where we said, well, if we had invested a little bit more, then it would have been the better solution right away. Yet again, it's a lot of, exactly. You get a lot of lessons learned also how not to do things. I guess that's part of the disruptive process as well, which, was interesting to experience, small things like that, but also bigger things where you of course say, well, this was annoying.
Yeah. Happens. But this lessons learned you also encourage in your company, right? That you can make mistakes. It's not like if you fail sometimes, it's good to learn something from it, and no one is like bashed at because he failed at something.
Well, that's a major thing, how you learn, right? You have this disruptive process of creating innovation, and that means you do something, you check out, is it working? Sometimes you fail in doing so because it wasn't the right way, and then everyone can do that. And this way we came across so many ideas. The external data pool that we started to create, that was just based on these ideas from people who came up with the idea. Could we not use this and that? Then we tried with the external data. I think we tried 4 or 5 times different ways. 3 of them failed, 1 worked. Now it's one of our major assets in terms of knowledge, where we get insights from.
Yeah, and in terms of employees, sometimes also a bit of a struggle, I guess. It depends on the person, but the onboarding process, for example, it's not something that's really calm. Get on board, learn things here and there, but we tend to be very fast and disruptive, so we throw people into projects like, hey, welcome to our office, this is everybody, so this is your project, maybe it would be nice by next week if you can join me at the client. So yes. This is just the mentality of the company. Has some downsides, of course. Maybe not everybody gets along with that too well, but now looking at this great team we have, I'm very confident that it helped them a bit here and there, and everybody made it, so it's great.
Let me play back the question now. What was it like for you? First week.
It was exactly like you described it just now. I had no experience at all, and then the first day, here, do that, and I was like, okay.
First week, first project,
I
first
can try.
responsibility. Exactly.
Yeah. It was always.
Yeah.
But trust me, it's better than getting to an office, waiting for tasks to arrive, weeks.
Yeah.
Or days, and
That's
then
and there's months of onboarding and all.
Yeah.
Like here, we always get like from the first week we've been involved into some things that we were never expected, that we would like jump right into the core of the action, and then it was always like learn by doing, and not a lot of mentoring over here. That's the interesting part.
And the way we do it, it's not the right setting and right way for everyone, right? But that's why, like you guys, you started things, and then after a couple of weeks, you came up with the greatest suggestions and contributing so much. And that's the way that we like, I guess, being fast, diving into the topics, coming up with new ideas, and that's the perfect way, how it's so much fun to come every day and think about new ways of how things can be done.
And I hope that managing the cultural diversity has also been an interesting phase for you too, or did you enjoy it?
Yeah, a lot. The more culturally diverse it gets, the more fun it is. We love traveling, we love other countries, other cultures, so it's there are a lot of stereotypes you hear about different countries, and then when you actually know people from all kinds of countries across the world, you finally get to know the culture a bit, so it's fun without even traveling. We are always surprised though how also some for us very basic things are different in some other cultures. But it's fun. I wouldn't want to work in a very homogeneous environment.
We came from companies that were very, I would say, German.
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
But more or
here,
less.
yeah.
But that's why it's so interesting to see how different ways or different thought patterns, different ways to solve a problem get together. I think it's always very interesting to get all of it together, to understand new perspectives. And the kind of world that we have, that everything is globalized. Traveling is so easy. It's one of the essentials that we as humanity understand each other, and
it's good. Perfect setting.
Yeah. And maybe if we go a bit more to the future than the past now, is there any are there any big milestones in the future that you see already that you'd like to achieve or that you already plan?
Well, Shabbar is already smiling because
I guess there's a lot.
We have a lot of things at the moment. We are still getting our external data pool bigger and bigger and making it accessible. So we want to democratize the kind of data that we have, making accessible to other companies as well, other app developers who can make use of that data, where we build a platform that basically enables companies to innovate way quicker by having direct access, instant access to new innovation, wherever that innovation is coming from.
Yeah. It's going to be the big milestone for sure, and then we have a lot of tools. We always it's always the same. From day one on, we couldn't decide on one tool and one niche to cover with solutions. So we've always partied at different places at the same time. So we want to get all our tools even more advanced now, structured. It's going to be, I think, the main experience for this year, and then going further. I guess we have very huge client base now in Germany, very big companies, multinationals. But then I guess there are many other companies outside of Germany that have the same problems. They're just waiting for us to say hi, so let's see how that works out.
And of course, at the moment we started with HR, but now we use the kind of algorithms that we develop, the kind of methods to project it onto different areas like predictive maintenance. And that's HRForecast, and this is the second big area that we're developing at the moment. With predictive maintenance for cars, for trains, for other applications, where we see this is getting more and more advanced and can be integrated into the system that we are having.
I guess, as technologically it will be a challenge for also the software team here, that will be making these tools available to a greater client base and more modularized, so that the algorithms that we have developed so far, they can be used by a wider range of people in a wider variety of scenarios. Will be a super interesting thing to,
I guess you're gonna have a lot of fun with that. And
it's always fun, I guess.
What's also very nice and also rewarding is that, I mean, coming from this HR side of things, turning that into other industries like Florian mentioned, this is really rewarding, because looking at the past, innovation is usually driven by R&D functions, for technology, and now we do it the other way around. HR drives innovation, and we take the algorithms that help HR people to help car drivers or to help maintenance engineers to fix their problems. It's really cool to have this flip side of things.
Yeah, and last but not least, at the moment we mainly focused on companies to support developing their employees, taking them to the next level. Next thing is the same thing for governments and whole economies. To with the major transitions that I mentioned at the beginning, AI, automation, etc., that will have huge impacts on economies and also how societies are structured in the end. And this is where we use our tools and data to contribute to that process, so that we can create a new society that is helpful to everyone, basically where everyone takes responsibility for the future.
Nice, interesting. A lot of things that need to be done in the near future. So question that, so this all would require a lot of finances as well. And right now, of course, we are using a lot of finances to administer 3 locations and all of this entire dynamic team. What are the sources? Do you have any external investors involved, or how do you manage all of that?
Well, it's the same as it was at the beginning. It's basically that's what we get, this is what we can use. We don't have a single credit from a bank, we don't have a single investor, and that's how we develop. So that means we cannot grow as rocket fast as other companies naturally, but it means that we can grow sustainably, so that we can really think about the next steps, build something that is long-term viable, and not just focusing on expansion.
Nights that you don't sleep so well, and then also nights where you sleep even better because it's so rewarding what you did.
That is quite interesting.
Yeah, I think we got a quite look inside into what the journey has been like the past years, and thank you for the interview and for your openness. I think.
Last question, I still have one.
Okay, go for it.
So now I hope we're gonna have more of these What the Future vlogs. And is there any content planned for it, and what are the following topics for the next episodes?
I guess we are as dynamic as with our products, always having new input from what we can talk about, but we have a big list of things, a lot of interesting people we wanted to ask to collaborate there as well. I mean, we just do it like we do it with our products. We do what we think is cool, what's fun, and let's hope people can benefit from it.
Yeah, for me it's essential that we share ideas, because whenever we shared something, others contributed and you could develop it, so you could take things to the next steps. So what we want to share are use cases that we did on leadership development, on diversity, etc. And this we want to take it onto a platform where we can discuss with others, where we can interact and take things to the next level. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds good, yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Okay, thanks for the interview.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Thanks for the great time that we're having together and for the next challenges to tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see you in the next meeting, I guess.
Exactly. See you in 2 minutes.
Back to work.
All right.
Okay, thanks a lot. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.